Hi, I'm Olga Mali and this is Math Talk. My guest is Ty Lewis, student of Sussex County Community College. Hi Ty.
Hi.
Good to have you here. So today we are going to show our students how to add and subtract fractions with different denominators. By the way, what are your majors?
I'm a math, computer science, and chemistry major. Those are three separate majors. They're not combined in any way, shape, or form.
That's great. Very impressive. So I guess that you are good with fractions. Are you good with fractions?
Yes.
Okay, so then let's start. We are going to work with fractions with different denominators. Let's start with this example. Let's say you had friends on Saturday and you had pizza, and out of this pizza only 2/3 left. 2/3. On Sunday you had friends again, and again you had a pizza, and now only 1/4 left. So the question is, how much of pizza you have for Monday? So we need to add 2/3 plus 1/4. The denominators are different. So Ty, can you find pizza for us?
So we have to find the LCD of these numbers, and 3 doesn't have any common factors. 3 doesn't have any factors, so 3 would just be 3, and 4 is 2 times 2. So the LCD would be 3 times 2 times 2, which is 12.
So what we are doing here, step number 1, we're trying to find the least common denominator. And least common denominator is a product of all different factors of all the denominators. So we found different factors, and 2 is repeated twice as factors of 4, so we take both of them. We always take maximum number of repeated factors, as we can see in our denominators. Okay, we found least common denominator. What do we do next?
So next we have to make sure that these denominators are both the same as the least common denominator. So to turn 3 into 12, we have to multiply by 4. So we have to multiply both of these by 4.
So we convert each fraction into equivalent fraction with denominator 12. Okay, so 2/3 becomes 8/12. Great. What do we do with 1/4?
So 4, we just have to multiply by 3.
Okay, so the same thing. We convert 1/4 into equivalent fraction with denominator 12. And we know how to get from 4 to 12. We just need to multiply 4 by 3 here. And then we have to multiply numerator with the same 3. We get 3/12. Now, Ty, are we ready to add them up?
Yes, because the denominators are the same, now we can just add the numerators.
So we're adding two fractions.
Yes.
And we get
with
11/12. Oh boy, this looks great. It looks like almost whole pizza for Monday.
Yeah.
11/12. Almost a complete pizza. Very good. So now I know that 12 is actually 3 times 4. So does it mean that if our denominators don't have common factors, then we can just multiply them?
Yes, but only if they don't have common factors. So if this was, say, 6, then you can't say 6 times 4 is 24.
So it will be not the least common denominator.
Well, it would still be a common denominator, but it won't be the least common denominator.
Okay, great. Now, while we're done with pizza, let's try something different. We'll have something more complicated. We have 7/18, and we want to add it with 5/12. So step number 1, finding least common denominator. So how do we do this?
So these 18 and 12 have a common factor, so we have to break 18 up into its prime factors.
So we're using prime factorization tree. Okay, so factors of 18 will be 2, 3, and 3.
So we have to do the same thing with 12 now.
Okay, so let's just write them here. So 18 will be equal to 2 times 3 times 3. And we notice that 3 is repeated twice. So most likely we will have to repeat 3 twice in our least common denominator. So 12 is 2 times 2 times 3. And now we notice that 2 is repeated twice. So in this denominator 3 is repeated twice. In this denominator 2 is repeated twice. So in our least common denominator, what do we need to write?
2 is repeated twice and 3 is repeated twice. And so this number is 4 times 9, which is 36.
Okay, great. So what we notice here is that we need really to pay attention to how many times we see factors repeated in our denominators. Okay, great. Least common denominator is 36. What do we do next?
So we have to write these in terms of 36. So it would be 7 over 18.
So how to convert it into a new fraction with
So we
denominator
have to
36?
multiply it by 2 to get 36 here in the bottom. And that's going to be 14 over 36.
Okay, so we converted this fraction because we know that 36 has 18 twice. So we multiply numerator and denominator by 2. Great. Now, another one. 5 over 12. How do we convert this?
So we have to multiply by 3. Since 12 is 1/3 of 36, we have to multiply both of them by 3. And keep in mind, when we multiply, we're really multiplying by 1. 2 over 2 is 1, 3 over 3 is 1.
Yeah, what you are saying that we don't change the value of our original function, right? That's why we multiply both numerator and denominator by the same number. So this is 1, and
Yes.
this is also 1. That's why we call fractions equivalent fractions. Okay, now are we ready to add them up?
Yes, because they have the
Okay,
same denominator.
Great, let's
So-
add them.
14 over 36 plus 15 over 36 equals 29 over 36.
Great, you are really good with fractions. It's correct answer. Okay, let's try another one. So far we were just adding fractions. What changes if we want to subtract fractions? And now we will use 3 different fractions. So let's see how to deal with this problem.
So here we still have to find the least common denominator.
So it's step number 1 all the time, right? So we need to find least common denominator.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're adding or subtracting or how many fractions you have, you still have to find the least common denominator of all these numbers. So 5 doesn't have any common factors, it's just 5. 6 has 2 times 3, and 10 has 2 times 5. So everything here is only repeated once, nothing is repeated twice. So our LCD is 2 times 3 times 5.
Okay, so great. Again, we multiply all different factors, and different numbers here are just 2, 3, and 5. Okay, so what do we get?
So that's 30. So now we have to write everything in terms of 30. So 1/5 is equal to 1 times 6 over 5 times 6, which is 6 over 30.
So we know that to get 30, we need to multiply 5 by 6. And again, we multiply both numerator and denominator. So our fraction doesn't change its value.
Yes, and for 1/6, we have to multiply both of these by 5, which again is the same as multiplying by 1. So it's 5 over 30.
Okay, great. What do we do with 3 over 10?
So 3 over 10 is, we have to multiply by 3. So this would be 3 times 3 over 10 times 3.
So again, we want to have denominator 30.
Yes.
Are we ready to combine them now?
Yes. But before we combine them, we have to realize that this one is being subtracted. So it's 6 over 30 plus 5 over 30 minus 9 over 30, which is 11 minus 9, or 2 over 30, which equals 1 over 15, because we have to reduce it, because these are
So
both
we
divisible
just
by
need to
2.
simplify our fraction, because both numbers are divisible by 2, so we simplify. We always need to simplify whenever possible. Okay, so the correct answer will be 1 over 15. Very good. So let me just summarize what we've done today. How to find least common denominator of the fractions. So the steps 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. So the big step where we'll always start from. This is how to find least common denominator. So you need to write each denominator as a product of prime factors. Then we find all different factors and we multiply them. And this factor is repeated in any of the denominators. Then our least common denominator will contain the greatest number of the time that occurs in any of the denominators. That's what happened in our examples. 2 was repeated twice in one of the factors, so we have to take it all together in our denominator, least common denominator. If 3 is repeated twice, then we will have to take 3 twice in least common denominator. Okay, after we're done with the least common denominator, then we need to go to step 2 and change each fraction to an equivalent fraction with least common denominator for a denominator. Step number 3, we would add and subtract the fractions as requested. And then at the last step, we need to simplify the answer if we can. So I hope we helped you a little bit with the fractions. Thank you for listening and watching. That was Math Talk with Olga Male. Thank you.